Listen, Berachos.
Daled Zion?
Dalet
Daled
Zayin.
Zion. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah states that the Musaf offered to Musaf Tefillah is only recited with the city congregation, but the Chachamim say with or without the city congregation. Rabbi Yehuda says in his name, wherever there is a local congregation, the individual playing alone is exempt from reciting the Musaf Tefillah. One should only stand to recite the Tefillah in a reverent mood. The pious men of earlier times would first wait an hour and then recite the tefillah so as to direct their minds to the all present. Even if a king was to greet him, he may not return the greeting, and even if a snake was to curl up on his heel, he may not break off. We mention the power of the rains in Who Revises the Dead and ask for the rains and the blessing of the seasons. And in Havdalah, you favor the man with knowledge. Rabbi Akiva says one recites it as an independent blessing, and Rabbi Eliezer says it's in the Thanksgiving. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So now, uh, if somebody goes free form on their tefillah and decides to add in other stuff, I mean, obviously, we have a fixed text right now, but if you have somebody who's leading tefillahs for the kehillah under whatever the circumstances are, and he decides to improvise, it's not the worst thing in the world if he wants to improvise, as long as what he says is appropriate. And here is a list of some things that are inappropriate. For example, Omer, al kanzi por yagir rachamecha. Even on a bird's nest, your mercy your mercy reaches, and you think, okay, well, I mean, that sounds like a nice thing because shiloh haken, that Hashem has rachlim on the bird, and that can't take the mother with the young. On the other hand, that's it's dangerous. It's dangerous to do that kind of stuff, because like, okay, so only on the bird's nest that you have. What about other creatures where there isn't such a mitzvah? Um, and um, and also, who said that it's a rachamim thing? Who told you that that's the reason why Hashem made the mitzvah? Hashem made mitzvahs, and it's not your business to say, oh, that's Hashem's rachamim at work. No, that's just a
Mhm.
mitzvah that Hashem gave. So you're treading on dangerous ground over there, making up reasons for mitzvahs. Okay. Also, v'al tov yizacher shemecha. Somebody says every time there's good, we say thank you to you. Okay, what happens when there's bad? We have a bracha, baruch ta'ana emes,
Right.
which also recognizes that bad things come from Hashem too, and we don't recognize why they're good. But so we say, okay, so this is bad. It looks bad, but ultimately it's probably for the good because of Hashem sent it. When you go into saying that we're only blessing Hashem for good things, that's getting into shtei reshuyos. We're
Yeah.
talking about dualism, where there's chas v'shalom, there's a God of good and a God of bad, and
Right.
that's complete heresy. Okay, modim. If somebody is trying out a nice tune from the Amud, and he says the word modim twice in a row, you say, sorry, you can't do that. Not for the sake of the music. You are not allowed to do that. It sounds like you're giving hoda'ah to two different entities. Okay, Mashat kinoso. You tell him, shush. You may not do that. We have to make a macha and say that is not acceptable. Now, what happens if a shaliach tzibur gets up to daven and he doesn't have a nice printed siddur in front of him, so he's operating by memory, and he gets distracted and he can't remember where he was? Well, okay, that's yeah. So he's just completely flustered, doesn't know how to carry on. So they say, "Quick, somebody else take over."
Mhm.
Okay. Lo yehei sarvan b'osa sha'a. And at that point, this is not the time for saying, "Oh, no, 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 I really couldn't do that." People are, we encourage people to be a sarvan because it's a way of modesty. So, no, no, let somebody else do it. Let somebody else do it. But that's at the beginning of the tefillah. When you're in the middle of the tefillah and everyone's waiting to carry on, it's mamash bizayon to the tzibur that somebody is saying, no, 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 not now. This is the time you need to do it, and you don't argue. Um, and minayin hu maschil mitchilas habracha shetaba. So the starting point, he goes back to the beginning of the bracha where the person felt him. Now this is actually an interesting shaila lamase, because last year, Yom Kippur, our shaliach tzibur for mincha suddenly came over faint and he couldn't carry on. and we were like just getting to the beginning of Vidoy and all of the Shamnus and whatever.
Right.
And like if you go back to the beginning of the bracha, that's Atavachartanu. You're going back like way back.
Right.
Okay. And so you can't follow the advice of a can. Like Rav Haber said, no, just go back to the beginning of the paragraph that he was in the middle of. So I took over from him at that point, and here, so that was so that sometimes comes Lamase.
Wow.
Okay, um, Mishna Dalad. However, lifnei ateva lo yane achar kohanim amen. So again, when we're talking about these situations, this is talking before they were printed sidurim. So everyone is trying to focus on their stuff, and if he starts answering to the kohen, amen, he might get himself distracted with and forget which bracha he's on. Are we on Yair? Are we on Isa?
Right. Right.
Um, because he might get confused. Ein sham kohen elahu. And what happens if the shaliach tzibur himself is the only kohen in shul? Okay, lo yisais kapav. Then he should not do birkas kohanim because he's going to get confused where he was. I'm not sure why that's particularly so, because either he's calling for them or he's having somebody call to him. So I'm not really sure what's the story of how the shliach tzibur is going to get particularly confused. But it seems to the Mishnah seems to take it for granted that if the shliach tzibur is a kohen, that he shouldn't do birkas kohanim with everyone else, and he should be calling out to them.
That's
Although
interesting.
um, that, that
That's
that's
interesting because in a
no,
Havasiyon, it's different.
no,
Someone
no, no,
who's
no. That's not the accepted halacha.
oh, it's not okay. All right.
Everyone has the kohen, even if a kohen is is a shliach tzibur, he still turns around and does birkas kohanim. That is the accepted halacha. I think again that's got to do with the fact that we have nice printed sidurim. And if he forgets where he's at, he can just look in the door. Oh yeah, sim shalom. Um,
Right.
okay, so we don't have that problem anymore of getting confused. You've got everything written in front of you. Okay, Ve'im havtacha so shehu noses kapav b'chozer l'sfila so rashai. However, that's so the Mishnah again gives us that heter for what we have is if he's confident that he's going to be able to do Birkas Kohanim and he'll know how to get back to it, then he's allowed to. So that's exactly our situation, is that yeah, you can be confident because you've got your backup in your printed Siddur. Okay, Mishnah Hey, a mispalel v'ta'a, one who is davening and then he suddenly forgets where he was. Okay, I
Mhm.
mean, like that's never happened to me, I'm sure. Uh,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you where I'm most vulnerable is if I'm davening and my mind is elsewhere, and then suddenly I realize, oh, they're saying kedusha. So I stop and I listen to kedusha to be shomei v'oneh, shomei ka'oneh, to listen to the kedusha that's
Right.
going on over there, and then finish the kedusha and say, oh, where was I? I have no idea where I was in the Shmoneh Esrei. Okay, es chata'ai ani mazkir hayom. Um, that has happened to me, unfortunately. Siman ralo, it's not a good siman. Because right, that's that your tefillah is not being accepted because you're not there.
Right there. Right.
Im shaliach tzibur hu, and even worse, if he is actually the shaliach tzibur, it's not just bad for him. Siman ra l'sholchav. It's bad for the whole kehillah. That's a siman from Hashem that He's not accepting the whole tefillah's the whole congregation's tefillah. Right? Adam kamoso, because he really represents the whole kehillah. And when something bad happens to you, the shaliach of the whole tzibur, that's not a good thing. Amru alav al Rabbi Chanina bin Dosa. It's a little story about Rabbi Chanina bin Dosa, who was so sensitive. Shehaya mispalel ala cholim. People would come to him and ask him to daven for cholim. Ve'omer zeh chai v'zeh meis. And he could tell who was going to survive and who wasn't. Amr lo minayin ata yodea. How do you know? Amr lahem im shegura tefillah si b'fi. If I feel the tefillah when I say the name and I feel that my words are going up to Shemaim. I know he's fine. Yodeh ani shehu mekubal imlav. Yodeh ani shehu metoraf. And if I say the name and it comes back at me, he had such a sensitive nature that he could tell that his tefillah was going up or it wasn't going up. Okay.
All right. I'm scared. Okay, we are on Aleph Hey.
Yeah.
The Exodus is mentioned at night. But Elazar ben Azariah says, Behold, I am like a man of 70, and I was not merited that the Exodus be mentioned at night until Ben Zoma gave me this exposition. He said that you may remember the day when you come forth out of Egypt all the days of your life, and the days of your life refer to the daytime. All the days of your life include the nighttime as well. While the sages say the days of your life refer to this world, and all the days of your life include the Messianic era as well. Someone was reading the Torah, and at the time of the recital arrived, he had set his heart to it. He had discharged his obligation, and if not, he has not discharged his obligation. Between the paragraphs, he asked out of respect and answers, and in the middle, he asked out of fear and answers. These are the words of Reb Meir. Rabbi Yehuda says, in the middle, he may greet on account of fear and may return a greeting out of respect. In the breaks, he may greet out of respect and return the greeting to anyone. There are breaks between the first and second brachas, between the second and Shema, between Shema Israel and it shall come to pass, between it shall come to pass and the Lord spoke, between the Lord spoke and the true and firm. Rabbi Yehuda says one is not permitted to interrupt during the Omer and with Yatev. Rabbi Yeshua's Korcha said, why does Shema precede V'haya? So that one should accept upon himself of the yoke of the kingdom of heaven and afterwards take upon himself to observe mitzvah. Why does V'haya come before V'yomer? Because V'haya has applications both by day and by night. V'yomer is only applicable by daytime.
Okay.
On to Zavim. Zavim Gimel. Hey Gimel. Because they said anything that carries or is carried upon a contaminated couch is tahor, except for a person. If the tummy zav is the tummy top. Oh wait, did I go right the right way? Sorry, I went the wrong way. Anyone who carries or is carried upon an animal carcass is tahor, except for one who moves it. Reb Eliezer says, provided that he carries it. Anything that carries or is carried upon a human corpse is tahor, except if it forms a roof over the corpse, and except for a person who moves the corpse. If part of the tummy person was resting on the tahor person, or part of the tahor person was resting on the tummy person, or if the connected outgrowths of the tummy person were resting on the tahor person, or if the connected outgrowths of the tahor person were resting on the tummy person, in all of these cases, the tahor person is rendered tummy. Reb Shimon says, if part of the tummy person was on the tahor person becomes tummy, but if part of the tahor person was on the tummy person, the he remains tahor. If a tummy person was resting on part of a tahor couch, or if a tahor person was resting on part of a contaminated couch, the tahor couch or person is rendered tummy. However, if only part of a tummy person is resting on a tahor couch, or if only part of a tahor person is resting on a contaminated couch, the tahor person, couch, or person remains tahor. Thus, we find that tuma enters a couch and excludes from it through a small part of it. Furthermore, a loaf of truma bread that is placed on a contaminated couch with a piece of paper between the loaf and the couch, whether it is resting on top of the couch or situated underneath the couch, remains tahor. Similarly, if it's a situation involving an inflicted stone, the loaf would remain tahor, but Reb Shimon says the loaf remains tamei in that case.
Okay.
One more.
No.
One.
No.
That was it.
Taurus.
Love base. There are four uncertainties in which Rabbi Yeshua rules: the certainty Tameh and the certainty Tameh and the surge's rule of Tahor. Also, a Tameh person is standing and a Tahor person is passing by, or a Tahor person is standing and a Tameh person passes by. A Tameh object is in the private domain, a Tahor object is in the public domain, or a Tahor object is in the private domain and a Tameh object is in the public domain. There is a doubt whether the one entity touched the other entity. If it did not touch it, or if there's a doubt whether it shared a roof with the other entity, or did not share a roof with it, or there is a doubt whether it caused the other entity or to move, or did not cause it to move, Rabbi Yeshua rules the Tahor entity Tameh, and the Tameh rules the Tahor. Regarding a tree that was standing in public domain and an object of tumor was in it, if one climbed to the top of the tree and there is a doubt whether he touched the tummy object or did not touch it, the uncertainty is ruled tummy. If one inserted his hand into a hole that has an object of tumor in it and there is a doubt whether he touched the tummy object or did not touch it, the uncertainty is ruled tummy. Regarding a store that was tummy and open to the public and there is a doubt whether one entered the store or did not enter it, the uncertainty is ruled tahor. If there is a doubt whether he touched the tummy item there or did not touch it, the uncertainty is ruled tahor. Regarding two stores, one of which is tummy and one of which is tahor, and one entered one of them, and there is a doubt whether he went into the tummy one or the tahor one, the certainty is ruled tummy. As many uncertainties and uncertainties of uncertainties that you can add up in a private domain, the uncertainty is ruled tummy. Here, but in the public domain, the uncertainty is ruled tahor. How so? If one entered an alleyway and there was an object of tumor in the courtyard, and there was a doubt whether he entered the courtyard or did not enter, or there was an object of tumor in the house, and a doubt whether he entered the house or did not enter it, and even if he entered, there was a doubt whether the object of tumor was there or it was not there, and even if it was there, there was a doubt whether it consisted of the minimum measure of tumor, or it did not consist of the minimum measure, and even if it did consist of the minimum measure, there was doubt whether or it is an object of tumor or an object of tahara. And even if an item of tumor, there is a doubt whether he touched it or did not touch it. The uncertainty is ruled tummy. Elazar says, uncertainty regarding entry is ruled tahara, and uncertainty regarding contact with tumor is ruled tummy.
Okay.
One entered the
No, that's it.
area of
Done. We're
that's
done
it.
there. We can go back to Tamid.
Okay. Amen. Okay. Solid base. He would not break a behind leg of the Talmud, whether he would make a hole in the area of its knee and hang it from that hole. He would skin the lamb as it went down until he reached the area of the breast. He could reach the breast and cut off the head, and gave it to whoever won the privilege of carrying it. He cut off the feet and gave them to whoever won the privilege of carrying them. He completed the skinning and tore open the heart and removed its blood. He cut off the forelegs and gave them to whoever won the privilege of carrying them. He went up to the right hard leg, cut it off, and gave it to whoever won the privilege of carrying it. And the two, uh, sorry, and the two, and the two testicles were left attached to it. He tore open the body cavity, and thus it was completely revealed to him. He took the fat, put it in the place of the incision on the head on top. He took the intestines and gave them to whoever won the privilege of carrying them in order to rinse them. They would rinse the stomach in the rinsing chamber as much as it needs. The intestines would be rinsed at least 3 times on marble tables which were between the pillars. He took the knife and separated the lung from the liver, and separated the liver appendage from the liver, but would not budge it from its place. He would pierce the sides of the beast and give it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it. He went up to the right flank. He would cut down to the spine. He would not touch the spine until he reached the 2 soft ribs. He cut off the right flank and gave it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it, and the liver was suspended within the right flank. He approached the neck and left in it 2 ribs from this side and 2 ribs from that side. He cut off the neck section, gave it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it, and the trachea, heart, and lungs were suspended within it. He approached the left flank and left 2 soft ribs above it and 2 soft ribs below it, and he would leave out the same of the counterpart. Thus he would leave out of both flanks 2 and 2 above, and 2 and 2 below. He would cut off the left flank and give it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it, and the spine was together with it, and the spleen was suspended within it. In truth, the left flank was greater, but it was the right flank that they referred to as the greater one because the liver was suspended from it. He approached the back portion, cut it off, and gave it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it, and the fat tail and the liver appendage and the 2 kidneys were together with it. He took the left hind leg, gave it to whomever won the privilege of carrying it. Thus all of the Kohen were standing in a row and limbs were in their hands. The first Kohen with the head in the right and the right hind leg, the head was in his right hand, the snout facing its arm, and the horns between his fingers, and the place of the incision was above with the fat placed upon it. Excuse me. And the right hind leg in his left hand, and the place of the skin facing outward. The second Kohen with the 2 forelegs, the one with the right hand and one left hand, the one left in his left hand with the place of the skin facing outward. The third Kohen with the back portion of the left hind leg. The back portion in his right hand with the fatty tail suspending between his fingers, the liver appendage, and the 2 kidneys with it. The left hind leg in his left hand in the place of the skin facing outward. The fourth Kohen with the breast and the neck, the breast in his right hand, the neck in his left hand, with the neck's ribs between the fingers. The fifth Kohen with the two flanks, the right one in his right hand, the left one in his left hand, and the place of the skin facing outward. The sixth Kohen with the intestines which were placed in a spoon, and the feet which were placed upon the intestines. The seventh Kohen with the Kohen with the fine flour. The eighth Kohen with the kilitum. The ninth Kohen with the wine. The Kohen went and placed the limbs from the halfway point of the ramp and down on its west side, and they salted these items. Then these Kohen ascended and came to the chamber of hewn stone to recite the Shema.
And if you
For
can
some
believe it,
reason,
we still need one more.
I,
That was a
I'm
super long Mishnah, and there's one more to go.
so glad I'm not a Kohen. That this, the whole thought. All right. The accompanied one said to the Kohanim, recite a single blessing, and they recited the blessing, and they recited the 10 statements. Hear, O Israel, and it will come to pass if you hearken. And Hashem said they recited 3 blessings, MSV and the service, and the blessings of the Kohanim. And on the Sabbath, they would add a single blessing for the outgoing Mishmar. Okay.
My new son-in-law is a Kohen.
Oh,
He likes meat.
he likes me. Oh, well. Okay, we have Baba Messiah. 4 silver miles consist fraud. 2 silver miles consist of a claim, and the worth of a pruta constitutes of confession. There are 5 laws involving a pruta. The worth of a pruta constitutes confession. A woman may be married the worth of a pruta. If one derives benefit from a pruta from unconsecrated things, he has committed meila. If one finds the worth of a pruta, he is required to announce it, and to the one who robs another of the worth of a pruta and swears to him, he must follow him even with mediyah. 5 laws require the addition of a fifth. If one needs truma of the tithe of Jamai, challah, or blikhorim, he must add a fifth. If one dreams his revised painting or a second tithe, he must add a fifth. If one redeems his consecrated objects, he must add a fifth. If one derives benefit the worth of a pruta from consecrated articles, he must add a fifth. And if one robs another of the worth of a pruta and swears to him, he must add a fifth. The following things are not governed by the law of fraud: slaves, deeds, land, and consecrated articles. The rule of twofold payment does not apply to them, nor that of the fourfold and fivefold payment. An unpaid shomer need not take an oath, nor a paid shomer pay. Reb Shimon says consecrated articles for which one is responsible for governed by the law of fraud, but those who are not responsible are not governed by the law of fraud. The Yehuda says also one who sells a Torah scroll, an animal, or a pearl is not governed by the law of fraud. They said to him, they stated only these.
Okay.
Okay, just and the Sachem.
Sachem.
Okay, Dalit. A kikika may be brought from the flock, from cattle, from sheep, or from goats, or from males, or from ants, females, and they may be eaten for 2 days and 1 night. If one slaughtered the Pesach offering for some other designation on Sabbath, he is liable therefore for a sin offering, and all other sacrifices that he slaughtered with the designation of a Pesach offering. They are not suitable if he is liable for a sin offering, but they are suitable. Sorry,
Yeah, commas in the wrong places there.
yeah, he is liable for a sin offering. But if they are suitable, Reb Eliezer obligates him to bring a sin offering, but Reb Shua absolves him. Said Rabbi Eliezer, if the Pesach, which is permitted on the Sabbath for the own designation, if he changes designation, he is liable. Then other for his own designation, if he changed the designation, he should be liable. Rabbi Shua said to him, not so. If you thus say of the Pesach when he changed it to a forbidden matter, will you say thus of other sacrifices when he changed them to a forbidden matter? Said Rabbi Eliezer to him, the public offerings prove it, for they are permitted to be offered for their own designations, yet one who slaughters other sacrifices for their designations is liable. Rabbi Yeshua said of him, not so. If you say thus of public offerings which have a limit, you will say thus of a Pesach which has no limit. But Meir says, even one who slaughters other sacrifices for the designation of public offerings is not liable. If one slaughter is for those who cannot eat of it, or for those who are not registered for it, for those for uncircumcised or contaminated people, he is liable. If he slaughtered it for those who can eat of it and those who cannot eat of it, for those registered and for those not registered, for those circumcised and uncircumcised, for those who are cleansed and are not contaminated, he is not liable. If one slaughtered it and was found to have a blemish, he is liable. If one slaughtered it and was found to be a treifa eternally, he is not liable. If one slaughtered it and then became known to the owners that the owners had withdrawn from it, or had died, or had become contaminated, he is not liable because he slaughtered with permission.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's it.
Thank you. Okay,
Have
so
a great
tomorrow,
day.
Like I won't be here tomorrow, right?
Okay.
Wait,
Okay.
so
So
I'll
see
see
you on Sunday though.
you on the Mr. Show. Yes, thanks.
Okay.
No problem.